if it wasn't for the FMC program and if it wasn't for my mentors, I think I would not have done as well as I would have.
I'd like to introduce our guest, Jay. Jay will be talking about a little bit about where he's going, when he took the Adventis program, and how he got his investment banking internship. So we're excited to introduce him. Jay, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure thing. My name is Jay. I am a junior at Iowa State University, and next summer I'll be interning at Stifel in the investment banking division in New York.
That's fantastic. Where are you from, Jay?
So I'm actually originally from India, but I moved to the US at a pretty young age and been here since then. But even here, I actually moved around a couple of different states. But I eventually ended up settling down here in Iowa, where I spent most of my life. And one of the reasons I chose to go to Iowa State as well.
So you've definitely seen a little bit of the world all over, and now you're headed to New York for your investment banking internship. That's fantastic. Now, when did you take the Adventis FMC program?
So I took the FMC program my first semester of my sophomore year. So it would be exactly about a year ago.
First semester, sophomore year. So you got on that fairly early in your sophomore year, and then you used that to help you get into other clubs and to help you eventually get your internship?
Yeah, that's definitely correct. I actually heard about the program through these clubs, and it was very beneficial, not just within the clubs, but also for recruiting for investment banking.
Well, what did your ramp up period look like to your internship? What were you doing on campus at Iowa to make sure you were getting in the right clubs? What were some of those clubs, and what else did you do to get your internship?
Yeah, so the two clubs I mainly took part in one was the Wall Street Club, which is the only exclusive club we have on campus, which has like an interview process and everything. And I was able to talk about the FMC program in that and show my interest for investment banking. So that really helped out a lot there. And another club I was a part of was the investment group, which was a student-run investment fund on campus. So and the FMC program really helped here as well, because the main idea of this club is to pitch stocks. So we do buy and sell presentations on stocks, and it's very important to have valuation on these companies when we do so. So going through the FMC program really helped me build out valuation models for some of the companies that we pitched.
Interesting. So you had two different clubs you went. One was exclusive and one was more a little open, the student investment fund. But you used Adventis to help get your foot in the door with the Wall Street Club, and then also just to perform on a technical basis in the investment fund.
Yeah, that's correct.
Interesting, really interesting. So breaking that down, when did you have to apply for the Wall Street Club at your school?
So you have to get into Wall Street Club during your sophomore year. So I was actually enrolled in Adventis while I was interviewing for the Wall Street Club. So by that time, I learned my technicals and really learned that stuff, and really helped me, get my foot in the door.
Now, how well does Iowa State place? I mean, how hard was it for you to try and get an internship out there?
For an internship, it is very difficult. Iowa State doesn't place many people into investment banking. We place about 2 a year at best, and it's been a recent thing. So we had more and more people placed better and better. And as for 6 years ago, we had no one even do it before then. So it's definitely a new thing. And I think Adventis has definitely played a large role in that. The FMC program is something that differentiates some of our students so being a part of the FMC program really differentiates you from a lot of other candidates that are applying to the same banks as you.
Certainly, and on a technical basis, I mean, that really makes sense going through. And also, so kudos to you first and foremost for getting that Wall Street internship in New York that you'll be headed to out of Iowa State if you all don't place that many across the street. But then what else did you have to do to get that internship? So you obviously started really early knowing, I mean, you had to know by the end of freshman year, it sounds like, that you were going to apply for the Wall Street Club. There must have been some things you were doing a little bit before then. And also, what did you do for freshman summer so you were ready for the clubs to then get in, to then prepare you for getting the internship? And then we'll talk a little more about getting the internship here in a second.
Sure. So prior to getting my offer from Stiefel in New York, I did an internship the summer of my sophomore year as well. Actually, the semester of my sophomore year. So I did a co-op, and this co-op was mainly in wealth management. So it didn't involve any technical roles. Didn't really need any technical skills to perform. However, the FMC program still really helped me out, despite not having any technical functionalities, because every day I would be on Excel and I'd be navigating through pages, and a lot of the commands that I learned through the program, control page up, control page down, alt tab, learning these different commands really helped me move through these Excel shortcuts and really set me apart. And formatting was a huge thing, and simple things like that, the attention to detail, really set you apart from the other interns and helps you get these return offers.
Wow, so that was your sophomore co-op that you were working on, and that would have been second semester of your sophomore year that you were working on that one?
Yeah, that was the second semester of my sophomore year through the summer as well.
Okay. And so then what were you looking for sophomore summer internship, or did that run through the summer of sophomore summer?
Yeah, it ran through the sophomore summer. So I was there for a couple of months. Yeah.
Wow. So you were there for quite a while then.
Yeah.
Now, what did your recruitment process look like for getting into Stiefel in New York? And when did that start? Can you walk us through kind of chronologically what that looked like for you?
Yeah, so I was recruiting while I was doing my sophomore internship. I think just not something I really have a choice with because recruiting happens so early these days. And so my strategy was to mainly have a good story. Story is the number one most important thing, not just in networking, but also in your interviews, because the first question they ask you. So, I was able to incorporate the FMC program into my story, like why I really enjoyed it and why it made me want to do investment banking. And so I incorporate that as well as my experience in the Wall Street Club and my student-run investment fund that I was part of. And, just having that good story allowed me to hop on the phone with a lot of bankers that I just emailed and reached out to, hoping I'd get as many responses as possible. And whenever I did get a response, I'd make the most of it by, telling them my story and just asking them questions I was genuinely interested about, and just learning about what the career field is like. And the more people I've talked to, the more interviews you win, and the more interviews you win, the more offers you get. So there's kind of a direct correlation with volume in this scenario.
And now, when did you end up landing your offer?
So I landed the offer just this semester, first semester of my junior year. So you have to recruit early, but your offers you don't start interviewing until over the summer or your junior year.
Interesting. Okay. So you landed that after the summer had ended in the beginning. So August, September timeframe is what you were looking at there. Now, it sounds like you were building, so to build that story, you had to build a strong foundation first. And that was, as you were saying, so you had the clubs, you had to get the extracurriculars right. And obviously you probably had some mentors in those clubs. We could talk about those in a second. And then you emphasizing the story and really getting on the phone with people and networking once you were on there, trying to learn as much as you could. How crucial do you think that was to getting your internship?
It was very crucial. I think, in my opinion, it's the single most important thing is to have a solid story. Because if you have a solid story, you're telling them that you're worth listening to and you're worth taking a shot on. So if you can prove that, then the rest of the conversation with the bankers you're speaking with is a lot easier. And as for the mentors that I had a mentor through my Wall Street Club, and he was really helpful for me. And even he was a part of my network, right? He recommended people that I reach out to. And that's the goal of networking. You want to network, and then you you want to get referred to as many people as you can. And more people you get referred to, the more phone calls you'll have, which will lead to more interviews.
Well, it certainly worked for you. I mean, going from a school that has not many people that place, as you said, you had about 2 people a year. I mean, what was it like did you have mentors in school that were helping you, like giving you advice and helping you?
Yeah, I had mentors through my Wall Street club. They were really helpful. We did a lot of mock interviews, mock technical screenings. So I really had my technicals down, which the FMC program, took care of that part pretty easily. But also helped my behaviorals because I was able to talk about, there's tell me about a time question. So if they ask tell me about a time to really, really work hard, the FMC program, the certifications you needed to do to get to that was one of those examples I used. So that helped a lot as well. But, just doing mock interviews with my mentors in the club, but also had mentors outside the club. We had alumni from my university break into the industry. So, those were just as much helpful as my alumni in school.
Well, and it's certainly inspiring to see. I mean, you put in this legwork essentially from day one when you got at school. You had to set yourself up freshman year in order to get into, like you said, the only exclusive club they have there for banking. So you got into that, and then you still had to keep running and get your internship for your co-op for the second semester sophomore year that ran into your summers, kind of like your sophomore internship too. All the meanwhile, you were still networking with people and recruiting, trying to get on the phone. I mean, when did you start interviewing for some of when was your first interview that you actually had?
So my first interview was actually the second semester of my sophomore year. So it was a very early interview. And because of that, I almost felt like I wasn't prepared. And if it wasn't for the FMC program, and if it wasn't for my mentors, I think I would not have done as well as I would have. I still didn't get the offer, but I felt a lot better going through the FMC program than I would have if I didn't. And also, so that was my first interview, but the majority of my interviews were over the summer or first semester of my junior year.
Wow. So, I mean, the time frame, they started really early. And when you were going through those. Fascinating, really interesting, and inspiring, quite frankly, that you're able to do that. I mean, that is very, very cool. Well, is there, as we're going through this, any advice you would have for people that are listening that are maybe freshmen on the first thing they should do when they're going through recruiting, or whether they're getting ready in their college career to eventually go through recruiting?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, especially if you're a freshman or even a sophomore, that time is on your side in this scenario. So you want to make the most of that because you can't really start too early with networking. You can't start too early by taking the FMC program. The sooner you take it, the better the story you'll have. And, the easier it'll be for you to network and easier it'll be for you to land interviews later in the future because of the connections that you developed.
So don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait.
That's fantastic. Really, I mean, very interesting story. We're excited to see how your summer internship goes with Stiefel. I mean, you'll be in New York. That's going to be fantastic there. I mean, what a great experience to have. So we're really excited to see how that goes. Thank you very much for sharing your story. We are really happy to have you on.